The great crystal dome of the council chamber sparkled under three suns. Tall windows showed the purple skies of Navarone, where clouds shaped like rings floated slowly. Inside, 200 seats formed perfect circles around a center platform. Each seat held a different kind of alien from across the galaxy. Elder Tejo walked slowly to the center platform. His blue skin had faded to pale gray with age. The four fingers on each hand shook slightly as he gripped his walking stick. At over 500 years old, he was the oldest living Navaronian and the most respected voice in the Galactic Council that day. Room fell silent. Even the oldest members had heard Elder Tejo speak only a few times in their lives. When he spoke, everyone listened. "I come before you today with a warning," Elder Tejo said. His voice was soft but carried to every corner of the dome. A warning passed down through 10,000 years of our history. He pressed a button on his walking stick. Above him, stars appeared in the air. The map zoomed in on a spiral galaxy, then to a small yellow star with 8 planets. "The third planet from this star holds a species called humans," said Elder Tejo. "Our oldest records speak of them. They warn us to stay away." Whispers filled the room. Most council members had never heard of humans or their small blue-green world. In the front row, Jiwoo shifted in his seat. As the youngest diplomat ever sent to represent the Astral Federation, he had much to prove. At only 50 years old, many thought him too young for such responsibility. His dark purple skin and tall frame marked him as one of the elite astral citizens. "Elder Tejo," Jiwoo called out, standing from his seat. "Why should we fear a species from such a small world? Our scans show they barely leave their own planet. They still burn fossil fuels for energy. They fight wars among themselves." Elder Tejo looked at Jiwoo with eyes that had seen civilizations rise and fall. "It is not their technology we should fear, young one," said the elder. "It is their nature. Humans adapt faster than any species we have ever known. They solve problems in ways we cannot predict. They thrive in chaos while we seek order." Jiwoo smiled politely, but his eyes showed doubt. "With respect, Elder, these sound like stories to frighten children. The Astral Federation has brought peace to 57 worlds. We have technology that would seem like magic to these humans." Around the room, many council members nodded. The young diplomat spoke what many thought. Elder Tejo sighed. He touched his walking stick again, and new images appeared. They showed strange machines, battles and humans building things from simple materials. 2,000 years ago they lived in mud huts and fought with metal swords, said Elder Tejo. Now they split atoms and send robots to nearby planets. Their rate of advancement is unlike any species we have studied. An alien with 6 eyes and green skin stood up. This was Minjun, representative of the Science Guild. "Even if they advance quickly, they are still centuries behind us," said Minjun. "By the time they could reach our worlds, we would be thousands of years more advanced." Elder Tejo shook his head slowly. "You do not understand. When most species find a wall, they stop and think of how to climb it. Humans see a wall and think of 20 different ways through it, over it, or around it. And if all else fails, they simply break it down." He showed a new image. It was a human standing in the wreckage of a crashed ship. The ship was clearly not made by humans. 30 cycles ago, one of our exploration ships crashed on their moon, said Elder Tejo. We sent recovery teams immediately, but in just 3 days before our teams arrived, the humans had already found it. They took it apart, they learned from it, they adapted their own technology based on what they found. This caused real concern in the chamber. Council members looked at each other with worry, but Jiwoo was not convinced. One isolated incident does not prove they are a threat. The council plans to expand into the sector containing their world. We cannot change our 500-year expansion plan because of old stories. Not stories, Elder Tejo said sharply. History. Warning. Wisdom. He looked around the chamber. The humans have a quality we have lost. They call it imagination. They think of what has never been and then they create it. They write stories about meeting aliens long before they could reach the stars. And in these stories, do you know what happens? The room was silent again. In their stories, they win. Always. Against all odds. Against enemies with far superior technology. They imagine victory, and then they find a way to make it real. Jiwoo stood straighter. The council cannot base decisions on fear. I propose we send an observation team to study these humans properly. If they truly are as dangerous as the Elder claims, we will see evidence. If not, we proceed with the expansion as planned. Voices rose in agreement across the chamber. Elder Taiho closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, there was sadness there. You will see what you expect to see, he said quietly. You expect primitive beings, so you will find primitive beings. You will not recognize the danger until it is too late. The council leader, a tall being with metallic skin named Suho, rose from his special seat. We will vote on Diplomat Jiwoo's proposal, he announced. Those in favor of sending an observation team before making any decisions about the humans, nearly every hand in the chamber raised. Those who wish to avoid all contact, as Elder Taiho suggests, only a few hands went up, mostly the oldest members of the council. Then it is decided, said Suho. We will send observers. They will study the humans and report back within one cycle. Then we will decide whether these creatures pose any true threat to the expansion. Jiwoo stepped forward. Council leader, I volunteer to lead this mission. I will prove that these humans are no threat to us. Elder Taiho tapped his walking stick hard on the floor. The sound echoed through the chamber. Pride, he said, his voice suddenly strong. Pride is what will blind you. The humans may look primitive to you, but they see the universe differently than we do. While we perfect a single technology over centuries, they create 1,000 imperfect solutions and improve them rapidly. While we seek harmony, they thrive in conflict. He pointed his walking stick at Jiwoo. Go, young one. See for yourself. But remember my warning when you look down on their world. What seems like chaos to you is their greatest strength. What looks like weakness is their path to power. Jiwoo bowed slightly, but his face showed he did not believe. As the council members filed out of the chamber, Elder Taiho remained in the center. He looked up at the image of Earth still floating above him. We should have left them alone, he whispered to the empty room. The stories say once humans know we exist, everything changes. They never stop. They never rest. They remake the universe to suit themselves. He switched off his walking stick and the image of Earth disappeared. But Elder Taiho knew the real Earth was still out there. And soon, the humans would know they were not alone. And no one in the galaxy was prepared for what would follow. The observation ship hung in space near Saturn. Its surface bent light around it, making it invisible to Earth's telescopes and radar. Inside, Jiwoo stood before the large window, looking at the distant blue planet. Such a small world, he said, for such a supposedly dangerous species. Behind him, 3 other aliens worked at control panels. They had been watching Earth for 30 days now. The ship was filled with the most advanced scanning technology in the galaxy. Mina looked up from her station. Her purple skin was darker than Jiwoo's, and she had small ridges above her eyes. As the team's expert in alien biology, she had spent most of her time studying human bodies. They are physically weak, she reported. Their bones break easily, they tire quickly. They cannot survive in space without special suits. They need specific amounts of oxygen and water. Jiwoo nodded. As I expected. Do-hyun, the military expert, brought up images of human weapons on the main screen. His skin was light blue and he stood taller than the others. Their weapons are primitive, he said. They still use chemical explosives and metal projectiles. Their most powerful weapons are nuclear bombs, but they seem afraid to use them. They fight among themselves constantly, added Yeri, the cultural specialist. She was smaller than the others with silver-gray skin that shimmered in the ship's lights. They have many countries that compete for resources and power. They cannot even unite their own planet. Jiwoo smiled with satisfaction. This is exactly as I predicted. The elders' warnings were based on old stories, not facts. These humans pose no threat to the Federation. He moved to his private quarters to prepare his first report to the Council. Behind him, the three specialists exchanged glances. "There is something strange about them, though," said Mina quietly. "Their brains use a lot of energy, more than seems necessary. And their military strategies are unpredictable," added Doyun. "They sometimes win battles when they should lose, just by doing something no rational species would try." Hieri nodded. "Their stories and entertainment are strange too. They imagine things that don't exist. They pretend to meet aliens and fight them. Sometimes the aliens in their stories are friendly, but often they are invaders. We should include these observations in our report," said Mina. "Jiwoo will not want to hear it," warned Dohyun. "He has already decided the humans are harmless." In his quarters, Jiwoo recorded his message to the Council. "After 30 days of observation, I can confidently report that humans pose no threat to our expansion plans. They are physically weak, technologically primitive, and politically divided." Elder Taiho's warnings were clearly exaggerated. The next morning, the ship's alarms blared loudly. The 4 aliens rushed to the control room. "What's happening?" demanded Jiwoo. "Life support system failure in Section 3, reported Dohyun. "Oxygen levels dropping." Mina checked the diagnostics panel. "Something is wrong with the central processing unit. It's not responding to commands." "Can we fix it?" asked Jiwoo, suddenly worried. Their ship was designed for long-term observation. If life support failed, they would die before help could reach them. "We need replacement parts," said Dohyun. "But we're months away from any Federation outpost." Hieri pointed to the screen showing Earth. "What about them? They have satellites in orbit. Could we use parts from their technology?" Jiwoo looked shocked. "Use human technology? It's far too primitive." "We don't have a choice," said Mina firmly. "We need those parts, or we die." Reluctantly, Jiwoo agreed. That night, their ship moved closer to Earth and captured 2 satellites. The team brought the human machines into their workshop. Mina carefully took apart the satellites. Her eyes grew wider as she examined the components. "This is unexpected," she said. "What?" asked Jiwoo, looking over her shoulder. "The design is different from ours. Simpler in some ways, yes, but also clever." She held up a small circuit board. "Look at this. They have limited materials and technology, so they found unusual ways to solve problems." She pointed to a section of the satellite. "This part should overheat. Their metals can't handle the temperature changes in space, but they created this simple cooling system that uses no power. It's elegant." Dohyun examined another part. "Their communication system is basic, but they use the same signal for multiple purposes. It's efficient, with the human parts modified. To work with their systems, the aliens repaired their life support. But the experience had changed something. They began looking at humans differently. In the weeks that followed, they watched humans more carefully. They saw a family build a house after a storm destroyed their home. They observed scientists working together to solve difficult problems. They watched children learn and adapt to new situations quickly. One day, Mina called the others to her screen. "Watch this," she said. The screen showed a human factory. Workers were building machines, but something went wrong. A part didn't fit properly. "See what they do now," said Mina. Instead of stopping production, the humans quickly found another way to make the part fit. They changed their process immediately. Within hours, they had solved the problem and continued working. "No Federation factory would adapt so quickly," said Hieri. "We would stop, analyze, get approval for changes, test the new process, and then restart. It would take days or weeks." "They improvise," said Dohyun. "They don't follow rules when rules don't work." Jiwoo frowned. "That's inefficient, chaotic, but effective," said Mina. "They get results." That night, they watched a small human boat caught in a storm. The engine failed, and the boat was being pushed toward rocks. The humans on board quickly made a sail from their clothes, used a broken piece of wood as a rudder, and steered to safety. "See?" said Hieri. They adapt to problems instantly. They use whatever they have. And look at this, added Mina, showing another screen. It displayed human medical workers saving someone after an accident. Their bodies are fragile, but they heal. And they help each other heal. They care for the weak instead of letting them die. Jiwoo was becoming uncomfortable. These are just isolated examples. Overall, they're still primitive. But the evidence kept mounting. They watched humans create new technologies, solve complex problems, and work together in crisis situations. Humans didn't follow the predictable patterns of other species the Federation had encountered. One evening, as they watched the sun set over Earth, Hieri spoke quietly. Their art is beautiful, she said. They create things just to express feelings, not for any practical purpose. And their music, added Mina. It has no logical pattern sometimes, but it's moving. Do-hyun had been studying human history. They advance very quickly, he said. 200 years ago, they traveled in horse carriages. Now they have space stations and powerful computers. Jiwoo stood up abruptly. None of this changes the facts. They're still centuries behind us technologically. The Federation has nothing to fear from them. But that night, alone in his quarters, Jiwoo watched recordings of humans. He saw them solve problems, create art, help each other, and adapt to challenges. For the first time, he felt a small doubt about his mission. Maybe there is something unusual about them, he whispered to himself. But they're still no threat to us. We are too advanced. He did not include any of these new observations in his next report to the Council. Instead, he wrote, "Continued observation confirms initial assessment. Humans remain primitive and pose no threat. Recommend proceeding with expansion plans. He sent the message. The ship's sensors detected unusual activity on Earth. Military bases were showing increased movements. Scientists were working through the night. Something had changed. What Jiwoo didn't know was that 7 days earlier, a small mistake had occurred. For exactly 7 minutes, their cloaking shield had failed during routine maintenance. For 7 minutes, their ship had been visible to Earth's most sensitive detection systems, and the humans had seen them. In a secret underground facility on Earth, Dr. Kwon stared at the images on his screen. They showed a strange shape near Saturn, visible for only 7 minutes before it disappeared again. It was clearly not natural. Not a moon, not an asteroid. It was a ship. Play it again, he told his assistant. The video showed the object appearing suddenly, hanging in space near Saturn, then vanishing. The shape was smooth and curved, unlike any human spacecraft. They're watching us, said Dr. Kwon, quietly. His assistant looked nervous. Should we tell the world leaders? Dr. Kwon shook his head. Not yet. If we announce this, people will panic. We need a plan first. He picked up his phone. Get me General Kim and the heads of all major research divisions. Tell them it's code level 1. Across the world, in different time zones, phones rang. Scientists and military leaders were called to emergency meetings. But the public knew nothing. There was no announcement, no news story. Earth prepared in secret. Meanwhile, on the alien observation ship, life continued normally. The aliens had no idea their cloaking shield had failed briefly during routine maintenance when junior technician Sunho had accidentally pressed the wrong sequence of buttons. Jiwoo received a message from the Galactic Council. They were pleased with his reports and had decided to proceed with the expansion plans. They would send a small scout ship to land on Earth's moon to establish a permanent base. This is excellent news, Jiwoo told his team. Our mission is a success. But Hieri looked troubled. She had been watching human entertainment programs. I've noticed something strange, she said. Many of their stories are about aliens coming to Earth. And in these stories, the humans always find a way to fight back and win, even against superior technology. Do-hyun laughed. That's just fantasy. In reality, they would have no chance against us. But why do they tell these stories? Asked Hieri. It's like they've been preparing for us in their minds for centuries. Mina had been quiet lately. She spent most of her time studying human biology and technology. Their rate of advancement is increasing, she reported. They're developing faster computers, better space technology. They're even beginning to understand quantum physics. Jiwoo dismissed their concerns. Even at their current rate, they're still centuries behind us. By the time they could reach our level, we'll be far more advanced. The scout ship from the Federation arrived 2 weeks later. It was smaller than the observation ship, but still impressive by human standards. It landed on the far side of the moon, out of sight of Earth's telescopes, to begin building the permanent base. That's when everything changed. The scout ship sent an emergency message. Unknown structure detected on landing site. Appears to be recently built. Design is unusual. Jiwoo was shocked. Humans have no permanent bases on the far side of their moon. Our scans confirmed this. The scout ship sent images. There was indeed a structure on the moon, a simple building with a strange symbol on top. It had not been there when the observation team first arrived months ago. Even more surprising, the structure contained technology that seemed inspired by Federation designs, as if someone had seen their ship and tried to copy elements of it. "This is impossible," said Jiwoo. "They couldn't have built this in such a short time, and they couldn't have known our designs." A cold feeling spread through the ship as the aliens looked at each other. Do-hyun checked the ship's log and discovered the brief cloaking failure 7 weeks earlier. "They saw us," he whispered. "For 7 minutes they saw us." "But even if they saw us," argued Jiwoo, "they couldn't have learned anything useful in just 7 minutes, and they couldn't have built a moon base that quickly." "Let's find out what they know," suggested Mina. They increased their surveillance of Earth's communications. What they found alarmed them greatly. There were no public announcements about aliens, but they detected encrypted messages between military bases and research centers. The humans were keeping their discovery secret, but they were definitely preparing for something. In his Earth facility, Dr. Kwon looked at the prototype weapon his team had developed. It was based on the strange energy readings they had detected from the alien ship during those 7 precious minutes. "Will it work?" asked General Kim. "In theory," said Dr. Kwon. "We've had to guess a lot, but we've been preparing for this possibility for decades." "Through science fiction?" asked the general. Dr. Kwon smiled. "Don't underestimate the power of imagination. Our writers and filmmakers have been thinking about alien contact for 100 years. They've considered every possibility. We've used their ideas to prepare. On the moon, human astronauts in new advanced spacesuits worked quickly to expand the base. They had been shuttled there in secret, using new ships with stealth technology developed in the past few weeks. Ambassador Park, a calm woman with decades of diplomatic experience, practiced her speech. "We know you're watching," she said to the empty room. "Let's talk." Her words would soon be broadcast into space in every known language on Earth, and based on the energy patterns from the alien ship, in what they hoped was the aliens' language too. Back on the observation ship, Hieri made another discovery. "They're learning too quickly," she said, her voice shaking. "Look at these scientific papers published in the last month. They're making advances in fields they barely understood before. It's as if seeing our ship gave them new ideas." Do-hyun checked Earth's military bases. "They're building something new, something that gives off energy patterns similar to our shield technology." "That's not possible," said Jiwoo, but his confidence was fading. "They couldn't reverse engineer our technology from a brief sighting." "They didn't," said Mina. "They saw something new and imagined how it might work. Then they tried different solutions until they found one that seemed right. They don't follow the normal steps of development. They jump ahead, guess, and test." Jiwoo received an urgent message from the scout ship on the moon. "Humans approaching. Our position. They're wearing advanced spacesuits, different from anything we've seen them use before." Then a second message. "They've left a communication device. It's broadcasting the same message in multiple languages." The message was played on the observation ship. A human voice spoke clearly. "We know you're watching, let's talk." Then, impossibly, the same message in perfect Navaronian, the language of the Federation. Silence fell over the observation ship. The four aliens looked at each other in shock. "How did they learn our language?" whispered Yeri. "They didn't," said Mina. "They use patterns from our ship's energy emissions to guess the structure of our communications. They're making educated guesses." "And they guessed right," said Do-hyun, his voice filled with new respect. Ji-woo sat down heavily. For the first time, he began to think that Elder Taeho might have been right. These humans were unlike any species they had encountered before. "What do we do now?" asked Sun-ho, the technician whose mistake had started all this. Ji-woo looked out at the blue planet. "We have no choice. The council must be informed immediately. First contact will happen whether we're ready or not." As he prepared his emergency message to the council, Ji-woo remembered Elder Taeho's words. "They adapt faster than any species we have ever known. They solve problems in ways we cannot predict." The humans had proven this true in just 7 weeks. All because of 7 minutes when they glimpsed something new in their sky. The rules of the game had changed. The carefully planned, controlled first contact that the Federation had envisioned was now impossible. The humans had taken control of the situation, and they were ready to talk. Ji-woo stood nervously on the bridge of the diplomatic vessel. The Galactic Council had sent it immediately after his emergency report. It was much larger than the observation ship, with sleek lines and powerful engines. The Council had decided that official first contact must happen quickly, before humans could spread news of alien presence to their entire planet. "Are you ready, Diplomat Ji-woo?" asked Captain Hoon. The captain was tall, with dark blue skin and eyes that showed he had seen many worlds. "Yes," said Ji-woo, though he didn't feel ready at all. Events were moving too fast. Just 3 days ago, humans had sent their message. "We know you're watching, let's talk." Now Ji-woo was about to meet with human representatives. The council had given him clear instructions. Explain that humans were now part of Federation space, offer protection as a developing species, and establish basic trade guidelines. Humans would be classified as a Level 2 civilization, intelligent but still primitive. The diplomatic vessel moved into Earth orbit, making no attempt to hide. It was time for humans to see them officially. On Earth, Dr. Kwan and his team watched the large alien ship appear on their screens. "It's at least 3 times bigger than the first one," he said. Ambassador Park nodded. She wore a simple dark suit and looked calm, though inside she felt the weight of representing all humanity. "Are our defenses ready?" she asked General Kim. "As ready as they can be," said the general. "We've installed the new shield systems on key locations. The prototype weapons are in place, but we're still far behind their technology." "We don't need to match them," said Dr. Kwan. "We just need to surprise them." The human delegation took off in a shuttle designed specifically for this meeting. It looked like a normal Earth spacecraft from the outside, but inside it contained their newest technology. Much of it developed in the past 7 weeks based on what they had glimpsed of the alien ship. Ambassador Park sat with 5 other humans. 2 scientists, 2 military officers, and another diplomat. They had been chosen for their quick thinking and ability to stay calm under pressure. "Remember," she told them, "we don't know their intentions. They may be peaceful. We only use our defenses, if necessary." The human shuttle approached the diplomatic vessel, which opened a large door to receive them. Inside, Ji-woo waited with a small team, including Mina, whose knowledge of human biology was valuable for this meeting. The humans stepped out of their shuttle. Ji-woo was surprised by how confident they looked. They showed no fear at meeting aliens for the first time. "Welcome," said Ji-woo in human English, which the Federation had analyzed and learned. "I am Diplomat Ji-woo of the Galactic Federation." Ambassador Park stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Park, representing Earth. We are pleased to make official contact." The meeting took place in a large room with a round table. The aliens sat on one side, the humans on the other. Ji-woo explained the Federation's presence and their observation mission. "Your world is now within Federation space," he said. "We offer protection and guidance as you develop. In time, when your civilization reaches Level 5 status, you may apply for full membership." Ambassador Park's expression didn't change, but her voice grew cooler. You misunderstand our position, Diplomat Jiwoo. We do not need protection or guidance. We are an independent world that has developed on its own path. Jiwoo was confused. This was not the grateful acceptance he had expected. But you are still developing space travel. You haven't even established colonies on other planets in your system. Our development follows our own timeline, said Ambassador Park. Your presence in our system without our knowledge or consent was an act of hostility. Mina watched the humans carefully. She noticed that while they spoke with Jiwoo, their eyes moved around the room, studying the alien technology. They were learning even now. We meant no hostility, said Jiwoo, growing uncomfortable. We were simply observing, as we do with all developing worlds. One of the human scientists spoke up. You watched us without permission. On Earth, we call that spying. Jiwoo tried to regain control of the conversation. The Federation has protocols for integrating new worlds. You would benefit greatly from our knowledge and protection. Ambassador Park smiled slightly. We prefer to determine our own destiny. We propose instead a treaty between equals, mutual respect of borders, exchange of knowledge, and non-interference in internal affairs. Jiwoo was shocked. Equals? That's impossible. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Is it? Asked Ambassador Park. She touched a small device on her wrist. Suddenly, screens around the room showed images of the Federation's observation ship near Saturn, taken during the 7 minutes when its cloaking device failed. We have been studying you too, said. Jiwoo felt a chill. The humans had learned more than he realized. But still, they couldn't possibly match Federation technology. He decided to be more direct. I must be clear, he said. The Federation has already decided that your world falls under our protection. If you resist, we have protocols for containment. The human military officers stiffened. Ambassador Park's expression hardened. That would be unwise, she said quietly. We hope for peace, but we are prepared to defend ourselves. Jiwoo almost laughed. Your weapons would be useless against our shields. Ambassador Park stood up. This meeting is over. We will return to Earth and consider your offer. But know this. Humans do not accept control by outside forces. Never have. Never will. As the humans returned to their shuttle, Mina whispered to Jiwoo. They're too confident. They must have something planned. Jiwoo dismissed her concern. What could they possibly do? Their most advanced weapons are primitive nuclear devices. The human shuttle departed and returned to Earth. Immediately after, General Kim activated their defense plan. First, satellites around Earth changed position, forming a pattern that created an energy field similar to the aliens' shields, but with modifications based on what Dr. Kwan's team had learned. Then, specialized electromagnetic pulse generators activated worldwide, sending precisely calibrated signals into space. These pulses were designed to interfere with the specific frequencies used by Federation technology. Information gleaned from those 7 critical minutes. On the diplomatic vessel, alarms began blaring. What's happening? Demanded Jiwoo. Our systems are failing, reported a technician. Some kind of interference is disrupting our shield generators and weapon systems. Captain Hoon looked at the screens in disbelief. The humans are jamming our technology. How is this possible? Jiwoo remembered Elder Taeho's warning. They think of 20 different ways through a wall, and if all else fails, they simply break it down. Before they could react, more alarms sounded. Security breach in our computer systems, called another technician. Something is accessing our database. It's downloading our files. Cut all connections to Earth, ordered Captain Hoon. I can't, said the technician. The system isn't responding to commands. Across Earth, human programmers worked together, using the viruses they had created based on their study of the alien ship. The viruses were now spreading through the Federation, vessel systems, copying data and sending it back to Earth. Mina understood first. They weren't preparing for aliens in general, she said with growing respect. They were preparing specifically for us, using our own technology against us. The diplomatic vessel lost power as its main systems shut down. Emergency power kicked in, but weapons and shields remained offline. "We must retreat," said Captain Hoon. "Alert the council. The humans are hostile." "Not hostile," corrected Mina. "Defensive. They're protecting themselves from what they see as a threat." As the diplomatic vessel moved away from Earth, a fleet of Federation warships arrived. They had been sent by the Council as backup, in case the humans proved difficult. But they faced the same problems. Their advanced systems were vulnerable to the human countermeasures. One by one, the mighty ships of the Federation found themselves disabled, unable to fight. Jiwoo watched in shock as the most powerful fleet in the galaxy was forced to retreat from a supposedly primitive world. "How?" he whispered. "How did they do this?" Mina looked at the blue planet growing smaller on their screens as they fled. "They adapted," she said simply. "It's what they do best." As the Federation ships retreated, humans around the world watched the skies. For the first time, they knew for certain they were not alone in the universe. And they had just proven they could stand their ground. In her office, Ambassador Park received the data downloaded from the alien ships. It contained information about faster-than-light travel, advanced energy systems, and the locations of thousands of worlds across the galaxy. "What do we do with this?" asked Dr. Kwan, overwhelmed by the possibilities. "We learn," said Ambassador Park. "We adapt, we improve, and then we go out there and introduce ourselves properly." She smiled. As equals. The age of human isolation was over. The galaxy would never be the same. The great crystal dome of the council chamber was silent. All 200 members sat frozen in shock as they watched the hologram showing the Federation fleet in retreat. Their mighty ships, built over centuries with the most advanced technology in the galaxy, were running away from Earth. Elder Taiho stood in the center of the chamber. He did not look pleased to be right. His face showed only sadness. "The humans disabled 37 of our most powerful ships," reported Admiral Junho. "They used electromagnetic pulses specifically tuned to our operating systems. They knew exactly how to target our weaknesses. We had no choice but to retreat." "How?" demanded Council Leader Suho. "How could they know our weaknesses? How could they advance so quickly?" Elder Taiho leaned on his walking stick. "I told you. They think differently. They adapt. They imagine solutions we cannot see." The doors to the chamber opened. Jiwoo entered, walking with difficulty. His arm was in a sling, and burns marked his face. He had barely escaped Earth when the humans attacked the Federation fleet. "The humans uploaded viruses into our ship systems," Jiwoo reported. His voice was quiet, humbled. "They used the 7 minutes when they saw our ship to learn about our technology. Then they built weapons designed specifically to work against us." "Impossible," shouted a council member. "No species could advance that quickly." "But they did," said Jiwoo. "They didn't need to understand how our technology works. They only needed to see what it did. Then they tried different approaches until they found what worked." "What do they want?" asked Council Leader Suho. Before Jiwoo could answer, a new hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed a human face, Ambassador Park. She looked directly at the council members as if she could see them. "Greetings to the Galactic Council," she said in perfect Navaronian. "I am Ambassador Park of Earth." The council members whispered in shock. The humans had somehow hacked into their secure communication system. "We wish to establish peaceful relations with your Federation," continued Ambassador Park, "but not as a primitive species to be conquered or controlled. We will join the galactic community as equals, or not at all." "Equals," sputtered a council member. "They're centuries behind us." Elder Taiho smiled slightly. "Are they? Look again." Another hologram appeared, showing a human ship rising from Earth. It glowed with energy that rippled space around it. The ship accelerated and then vanished in a flash of light, faster than light travel. "How did they develop that so quickly?" gasped Minjun of the Science Guild. "It took us 1,000 years to perfect faster than light travel." "They found our ship's database," said Jiwoo quietly. When they attacked, they downloaded our technological knowledge, but instead of just copying it, they improved it. Their version of the faster-than-light drive is more efficient than ours. Ambassador Park's hologram spoke again. We have prepared terms for peace. We will share our innovations with the Federation. In return, we ask to be recognized as a free and equal member of the galactic community, with all rights and protections that entails. The hologram disappeared, leaving the council in stunned silence. Elder Taiho looked at the council members, one by one. Now, do you understand what I tried to tell you? Humans don't think like us. We see technology as an evolution, slow, careful, perfect. They see it as a revolution, fast, messy, adaptive. He turned to Jiwoo. You were wrong, young one, but so was I in a way. I feared the humans would destroy us, but they offer peace on their terms. Jiwoo nodded slowly. The elder's warning wasn't wrong, but it wasn't complete. Humans are dangerous, yes, but their danger comes from their creativity, not their aggression. They don't want to conquer us, they just refuse to be conquered. In the weeks that followed, the Federation reluctantly accepted Earth as an independent power. Human ships began to appear throughout the galaxy, traveling faster and more efficiently than Federation ships. Human ideas spread quickly, challenging traditions that had remained unchanged for thousands of years. 3 years later, Elder Taiho sat in his private garden. The flowers around him were blue and purple, swaying gently in the breeze. A shadow fell across the path, and he looked up to see Jiwoo. Elder, said Jiwoo, bowing respectfully, thank you for agreeing to see me. Sit, Ambassador Jiwoo, said Elder Taiho, gesturing to a bench. You have done well in your new role. Jiwoo was now the Federation's ambassador to Earth. His face, still, carried scars from the battle, but his eyes showed new wisdom. I came to apologize, said Jiwoo. You warned us and I did not listen. Elder Taiho shook his head. No need for apologies. Some lessons must be learned through experience. The humans continue to surprise us, said Jiwoo. Last week, they helped the Kranax solve their atmospheric degradation problem, an issue we've struggled with for centuries. They found a simple solution no one had considered. Because they think differently, said Elder Taiho. That is their greatest strength. Jiwoo looked troubled. But what does this mean for the future? Will they take over the galaxy? Will their way of thinking replace ours? Elder Taiho was quiet for a moment. He watched a small flying creature land on a flower. The warning about humans was passed down through generations, he finally said. But I now understand it was not complete. The warning wasn't to protect us from humans. It was to prepare us for them. He looked at Jiwoo. The galaxy needed them, but wasn't ready for them. We had grown too comfortable, too set in our ways. We perfect a technology over centuries. Because we have time, we never needed to hurry. And humans always hurry, said Jiwoo. Yes, they live such short lives yet accomplish so much. They don't have time to find perfect solutions, so they find good enough solutions and improve them later. Elder Taiho smiled. There is wisdom in both approaches. A human ship passed overhead, its new design already influencing Federation ships. Humans worked with Federation engineers, combining their different ways of thinking to create something new. The humans will change everything, said Elder Taiho. For better and worse. The era of slow, careful advancement is over. The human era has begun. Are you afraid? Asked Jiwoo. No, said the elder. I am curious. For the first time in 1,000 years, I don't know what the future holds. It's exciting. On Earth, Dr. Kwan stood with Ambassador Park, watching. Federation scientists work alongside human engineers. They were building a new type of energy generator, one that combined Federation precision with human creativity. Do you think they understand us yet? Asked Dr. Kwan. Ambassador Park smiled. No, and we don't fully understand them, but we're learning from each other. We scared them, said Dr. Kwan. We needed to, replied Ambassador Park. They wouldn't have respected us otherwise. but now we can be friends. Across the galaxy, human ideas spread like wildfire. Federation worlds that had faced the same problems for centuries found new approaches. Human art, music, and stories traveled to alien worlds, bringing new concepts and emotions. And on a small ship traveling between stars, a human child and a young Navaronian played together, each learning from the other, neither seeing the other as strange or different, just as a friend. The elders had warned them about humans, but what they hadn't foreseen was that once the initial shock wore off, humans would bring something the galaxy desperately needed: change. The old and new, working together, created something greater than either could alone. And it all began because no one listened to the warning until it was too late. Too late to stop the humans, but just in time to begin a new chapter in the history of the galaxy. The end.